I feel like there's a certain level of there are certain kinds of relationships na the no closure is actually closure. What's up, you guys, and welcome to Adulting with Joyce Pring, the how-tos of your 20s told by a 20-something-year-old traversing through adult life expectantly and with gusto. Don't forget to check out joyspring.com for the show notes and use the hashtag Adulting with Joyce Pring for all your comments, suggestions, and hopefully non-violent reactions. So you went out into the real world today
Yeah,
after being confined in our houses for more than 2 months.
yeah.
Probably more than almost two
Almost
months.
2 months now.
And I wanted to ask you actually because we have the new thing going on right now on May 15
Uh
here
huh.
in the Philippines. They're trying to implement what they call the GCQ, or the General Community Quarantine. So we're kind of following the US here, where they're slowly opening up their economy. They're slowly starting the businesses again. And I was reading about it. I was just like, so confused because so they would allow mga barbershops and dentists and other people, but they don't realize that some of these people actually live outside of Metro Manila, and the only place
Yes.
where they're allowing GCQ is within Metro Manila. So explain this to me, Ataide.
I have no idea what GCQ is. General, no, General
Community
Community Quarantine.
quarantine.
There you go.
Yes.
I wish I knew more. I do have some friends that were kind of talking about it in like one of our groups, and one thing that came across was that curfew will not be implemented to those that are 18 to 50 years old.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the actual like layout of things yet. Don't like say that, oh, air the tide is head, blah blah blah. No, I again, like I said at the top of this, I
Mm.
don't know the exact protocols that they're trying to go for or that they're looking at using during the GCQ. But I do think that it is going to be very interesting to see if we're going to be able to get out of the house. Because if it does go into GCQ, do you want to go out?
That's what I was going to ask you also. Like, would people be comfortable enough to actually go out? That's one. The second question that I have in my mind is, do you actually agree with our government that we are ready to open our economy again?
No.
Because right, because this is the kind of okay, so this is the kind of conversation that they're having in the States right now, where people are angry at Trump, one, for not opening the economy because it's plummeting right now because businesses are closed, people are losing their jobs, we have millions of Americans just lost their jobs, right? That's one. But two, some people also don't want the economy to open because they feel like a lot of people are going to die. So the conversation is, do we value money more than life? Do you think that's the right question? What say you, Aaron Ataide?
That is very heavy. See, I the way that I look at it right now is it the way that we are living our life is probably going to have to be the way that we are going to be living our life for quite a while. I
Yeah.
do know that there are people that are that are without their jobs. They have nowhere to go to get income and be able to feed their families. But at the same time, if you don't have money to feed your families, you're not going to have any money to bring them to the hospital to get treatment and all of that. So what's going to
Yeah.
happen is that if there are people that can't do that, they're going to try and treat them at home, and there could be more widespread within communities because of that. So in essence, the way that I see it is if we take one step forward, we might be taking two steps back at the same time. So
Mm.
if other countries start to do that, I think the way that the Philippines needs to treat it is, or at least NCR or Metro Manila, they need to look at how the main cities around the world are treating it, not as a country. They should treat NCR in a way that it's like,
Good
okay,
point.
if New York is such a very high dense area, there needs to be a
Yeah.
certain way that it's done. It needs to be different from the way that Montana is done, or Metro Manila
Mm.
needs to be done different from the way that La Union does it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No two stories are exactly the same, and that is the way that we need to look at it.
Yeah, and I also feel like personally it's you have to see at how prepared is our hospital our healthcare system if in case what will happen is just like what happened with Singapore where they basically had a second wave.
Yes.
It spiked up again. They got very confident, they started opening their economy, but then it spiked up again. So you kind of have to look at it. I think this was something that we were talking about. I don't know if it was on air here on the show, but we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago that it doesn't make sense for us to be in strict quarantine if the government is not doing anything to actually better the systems, right? Kung hindi sila, if they're not exerting effort to actually help the healthcare system, if they're not, building facilities, if they're not doing anything or looking for medicine, diba? If they're not doing any of those things, it's gonna be very difficult to actually open up the economy again because if it goes up again, our number of cases now it's slowing down, yes, but that's because of the ECQ. If it goes up again, then we don't know what to do if we did make any
Yeah,
adjustments.
and
So
if it goes up again, we're back at square one. I like the one quote that I saw online where is we have learned how to treat the virus. We have learned how to earn money back. But the one thing that humankind has never been able to learn is how to bring people back. So if they die because of the sickness, they're gone forever. Money that is lost right now, hopefully we'll be able to bring it back. But at least there's still hope. When somebody is gone, that person is gone forever, and there's nothing that can be done.
yeah, I agree. I agree. But a lot of people also are saying that but with people losing their jobs and actually people getting hungry, the cases of depression and anxiety and even suicide also has gone up.
Yes.
And so this conversation I feel like is something that needs to be constantly talked about and discussed within our leadership and of course the developers of our countries because it's going to be really tough to kind of traverse through this new norm. I understand that a lot of people are still scared, and as for us, I feel like we're gonna stay at home as much as we can still, even if the GCQ starts already.
Yeah, I the way that I see it is at most I will probably go to the supermarket one extra day. I don't know. Maybe that's the adjustment that I would
Or
make in
get
my
a
life.
haircut. I think that's what you do,
You
diba?
know what? I don't know. I'm still sticking to it. I think that this needs to come to full fruition. If I don't have any like TV work anyway, so might as well just like grow it all
Hmm.
out. You're not gonna kill me for it, right?
I mean, but the other viewers of SOS might. So
Ah,
don't worry
yeah,
about it.
if it comes to a time where we have to have a poll on whether I need to shave or not, then we'll let the listeners decide.
Yes, we'll cross the bridge when we get there. But in the meantime, we've got another episode for you
Mm-hmm.
guys. A question coming actually from the website again, and this time around it's very interesting. I feel like a lot of people could relate to it. You got the question with you,
Yes,
right,
I do.
Parts?
Let's play it right now.
Hi, Joyce and Aaron. My name is Bianca from Manila. My question is, can you be interested on something or someone and be inconsistent? What are your thoughts about this? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bianca, for sending in that question. So the question of levels of interest is always something that is very interesting to talk about because um, interest and attention are very different, so to say. Joyce,
Hmm.
when it comes to you, the more interested you are into somebody, does that or someone or something or somewhere, does that automatically mean that you would be giving it more attention?
Yes, but I like her question because the question is consistency,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, can you be interested in something or someone and still be inconsistent in the way that you are with them? I personally am kind of an obsessive person, so I think when I'm
No.
when I'm interested in something, I go all out, and so that's why I have very few interests. You won't be able to talk to me about pop culture because I'm not very good at that,
Yeah.
or any
Or
other thing. But you
sports.
talk to me or
Yeah.
sports, yes, no, you can't do that. But you talk to me about nature, or my random knowledge about the things that I'm interested in are very vast, because when I'm interested in something, I spend a lot of time in it. But I feel like we have to address the fact that all of us as human beings, we have the capacity to actually be interested in something and still be inconsistent with it.
Yes.
And I feel like that we see that all the time in relationships. Right, Barts?
Oh, nice segue to throw it to me on the. There's people that are not as interested, but yeah, I completely agree. I know that because again, like I've said before, I mean, I'm the same way. I'm very obsessive compulsive whenever it comes to the things that I like. If I'm like if I find a TV show that I absolutely love, I gotta finish everything immediately.
Yes.
If I hear a brand new artist, I will listen to every single song that artist has ever come out with. That's just the type of person I am. But at the same time, there are also things that I have been long time interested in, but I just dabble into it just a tiny little bit. Like for instance, one thing is fashion. I really like fashion, but I don't spend all my time reading up on French fashion and all that. I mean, I'm interested in it. So the way that I see it is that there are levels of interest that will dictate the level of attention. So it's kind of
Yes.
like a chart, so to say.
Yes, that's so true.
So, what is one thing that you're very interested in, but you don't put a lot of attention in? Is there anything?
That's hard. That's hard. I guess art, maybe. Painting or art, maybe.
Because I think that there is like a flash fire reaction when it comes to being when it comes to attention and what was that, attention and
Interest.
interest. So when you're
Yeah.
immediate when you see something or hear something or see something that you are interested in, your attention will immediately spike up because you want to know as much as possible.
Okay, so let's take this into the context of
Okay,
relationships, right? I'm gonna assume that Bianca is asking for a friend.
of
This
course.
friend of hers is dating someone, and she really likes this someone. Let's say her name is Kevin. Kevin likes Bianca too, but for some reason, Bianca's friend is a little confused.
What do we
Let's
call
name her
Bianca's friend?
Hannah. Let's
Hannah.
call her
Okay,
Hannah.
so
Okay,
Hannah and Brian. Was it
Kevin.
Kevin? Hannah and
Kaya natin to.
I mean, there's only four people, and I can't even get it right.
Okay, so let's talk about Kevin and Hannah, who is Bianca's friend.
Yes.
So Hannah and Kevin are interested in each other. But for some reason, Hannah's a little confused because Kevin would kind of just go in and out of her life. She knows that he's interested in her, and the same way with Kevin. But for some reason, because Kevin is so inconsistent with the amount of attention that he gives Hannah, Hannah is now in this place of, Teka, does this guy really like me? Or is he just a little bit interested? AKA, is this the movie of Scarlett Johansson called He's Just Not That Into You?
Ooh, that was a
Right?
good movie.
Good movie. And I feel like it could answer this question by Bianca too, which
Okay.
she asked for her friend Hannah.
So, what do you think? What do you think when people show less attention than the other?
Okay, straight up. I think honestly, this is it. Humankind lives in a world of hierarchies. You have to accept that and believe that that's just the reality of things. We have hierarchies. There are some people who are just more talented than others. There are some things that are just more interesting than others. You always have preferences because the fact that you actually choose something means that you actually say no to everything else, right? So
Yes.
there will always be hierarchies. With that being said, your interest in people and things also depend on those hierarchies. How interested are you in this person or in this particular hobby or thing? The more interested you are in that person or thing, the more attention you'll pay to it, because your brain will kind of train you into thinking, I like this thing. Para siyang sugar, when you eat sugar, it gives you that certain level of high. So you keep getting it, right? So you keep paying attention to it. I think that goes to the same for things or hobbies or people. If it gives you that same effect where you keep getting a high out of it, you'll constantly go back to that. So honestly, I feel like that's parallel. If you're very interested in something or someone, you'll also pay a lot of attention to it. And if I'm going back to my past relationships, also, like when I look at it, the people that I didn't pay a lot of attention to were people that I was kind of amused by, but
Ah, that's a big
right,
word. Okay.
yeah, I'm just amused by them. Like, oh, it's nice to have you around when you're around. But here's the difference: I don't look for them when they're not around.
See, okay, that that is a huge thing right there because there you need to state what is the difference between being amused by something by someone and being interested in someone. How do you know?
Parts, it's just investment, right? It's investment. It's okay. Look at it as a comedy show.
Okay.
Is it a comedy show that you're just gonna walk into on a random Friday night? Whatever, you'll have the comedy show while you're having some drinks with your friends on the table, or is it a comedy show that you're willing to pay 2,500 pesos for and actually sit there and not pay as much attention to your friends because the comedy show is more important to you than just sitting by the table and being out on a
Ah,
Friday
that's a
night,
great comparison.
right? So I feel like when you're amused by someone, it's nice to have them around. It's nice to get to know them every so often, catch up with them. They're entertaining. Maybe they're funny. Maybe you find yourself laughing at their jokes, but you don't really entirely care if they're having a midlife or a quarter life crisis and they're having an existential crisis of some sort. The moment they say, I feel like I'm having an existential crisis, you run to the other direction and you tell your girl best friend that this girl is crazy.
What? Who would do that? What kind of
Right?
heartless man would do that?
Exactly, but that's amusement, just because
Because
you,
I was
you had fun.
amused. Like, for instance, if that were me, I would be. I was amused by the person.
Yes, yes. But if you were actually interested in her, even if you didn't know what existential problems meant, you probably would have gone, why? Where do you think that comes from? Does
What's
that
the
make sense?
stem? Like, where does
Yeah,
that
what's the
stem
stem
from?
of it?
Yeah.
Where does that stem from? How did you arrive at that conclusion? Do you think I can help you kind of figure it out?
Maybe we can figure it out together. No, I don't think your
Yes.
hypothetical friend at the time said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of agree. I can see where you're coming from. That there needs to be a difference between amused and interested. Um,
Yes.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like a way that I have seen it in my life, but I don't know. I've always, you could correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But it always seemed to happen to me whenever in my dating life, there are always like dry spells that I'm talking to nobody. And then there
Yeah.
would come a time where there would be like two girls, one that I'm amused by and one that I'm interested in. And I always pick the wrong one.
Yes.
So should I date somebody that I'm amused with or somebody that I'm interested in?
I
Because
think you should always.
can
Okay.
amusement turn into interest?
Here's the thing. It also depends on where you are at that point in your life. If you're at that point in your life where you're actually ready for interested, which means interested will escalate into something deeper faster, then go ahead and go for interested. But if you're not there yet, but you know that you want to be able to eventually traverse that road when you get there, then go for amusement because amusement eventually turns into interested if it's interesting enough. You get what I'm
Okay,
saying?
here. Okay. My concern with that is that amusement can lead more to friendship. And relationships are better when they are built on friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is straight to interest, does it sometimes skip out on the friendship?
I feel like that's something that you build along the way naman talaga eh.
Okay.
This is my theory. You can never truly be in a healthy relationship without being friends with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
that's I think that's just the universal truth for me.
Yeah.
And it just depends whether you started off on a friendship, which is amusement, and
Mm.
then eventually you became romantic, or you were romantic agad and then eventually you became friends, because you're going to share a lot of things with this person, and that's how friendships are built. So naturally I feel like that's really a prerequisite or a byproduct of any relationship. At the end of the day, it's still the same ship, it's still
Mhm.
companionship, right? So I think it's pretty much the same deal. It's a different timeline lang talaga.
I,
So okay.
the way that okay to round it out, there needs to be a balance of amusement and interest to
Mm,
show where the attention level will go.
yes. Yes.
So that's kind of like the agreement that we have on where we're going with this. Because if it's
Yeah.
just interest, if you're interested in someone but you're not amused by them, it's kind of like a I don't know, it's kind of like a crush or something like that.
No, 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 no. Hindi. Pag amused ka with
No,
someone,
interested na walang amusement. What is interested without
ah,
amusement?
okay. Yeah,
Parang crush mo
yeah.
lang, 'di ba?
Parang crush mo lang siya. It's just basically, yun. I feel like interested kasi is far deeper than amusement parts eh.
No, no, exactly, exactly. They actually complement each other.
Yeah.
So amusement without interest is most definitely like a really good friend.
Yeah.
Interest without amusement is like a crush.
Yes,
But if
pretty
you
much.
put both
Yeah.
of them together, if you are interested and at the same time you are amused, that is what a relationship needs. That there are some times where you look at that person and you get the butterflies in your stomach and you're so madly deeply in love and you have that emotion taking over your entire body, as well as the other times where you look at them and you're like, man, this person is my best friend and I can spend the rest of my life
Mm.
just talking to this person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there needs to be a balance of those two kinds of things, so to say, at different times that you're with that person.
Yes. Okay. So now we've defined that for
Yes.
everyone, right? So my question is then, to Bianca's question, can you actually be interested and amused with someone, but still be inconsistent in your actions? What are the reasons for that kind of behavior?
Nako! Nako!
Ano?
Ito yun!
Kaya mo? Air na tayo de?
See, the thing is with this kind of situation where if the guy or the girl that you're talking to, you feel like they're interested, you're like, man, we had a great time. We were dating for a
Mhm.
month. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, like attention went away. There could be the biggest thing there is the mind game that a lot of people still think and choose to do when it comes to dating, which I hate. Mind games need to
Mhm.
stop. No one wins. I'm adamant.
Speaking for a friend?
Speaking for a friend.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but
Okay.
I just think that maybe Bianca, if and your friend Hannah, or your friend Hannah, maybe if the attention has gone down, it might be because the person is maybe you're not giving the attention in back. I don't know, because like the way that I date is, if you give me some attention, I'll give you a lot of attention. If you give me like no attention, I'll give you some attention. If you really don't give me any attention at all, I don't give you no attention then. You give me a little bit and I'll give you more. And I think that that's something
Okay.
that a lot of guys will replicate.
Okay, so this is what Aaron Atayda is trying to say. With regards to attention and interest, the parallelism is one, do you guys reciprocate it to each other?
Yes.
Because I feel like that's the standard of some people. If you're not reciprocating the same level of attention that he's giving you, he probably is taking that as a signal that you're not as interested.
Yes, he's thinking the same
Okay.
thing.
Yes, he's thinking the same thing. The second one that Ernatide says is sometimes the attention that that person that is not giving you is only because of mind games. Some people still believe in this hard to get, maybe don't give everything yet because they might hurt you, or they're just honestly really scared
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
actually being vulnerable enough. So that's probably why this is all assuming that they're very interested in you, right? This is all assuming that they're very interested in you. I think those are two valid reasons why people won't try to do that. I think a third one will also be your reputation. If this person knows you from work, or if this person has known you for your whole life, your friends in school, you barkada kayo ganyan, and this person knows that you tend to break hearts, or you tend to play around after you've given someone attention, they'll probably try to be on this, they'll tread on the safer side and not give you as much attention, so as not to invest their feelings, right? Aaron and Tide? It happens.
Oh
What?
yes, it
It's
does happen. It does happen. Sometimes they might have heard something about you, or whether it is true or not,
Mhm.
and that might have stopped them. So one great example of this is when you're driving in your car and you're going down the street. When you if you see a stop sign from far away, you're not gonna immediately stop. You're gonna try and see. You're gonna get as close as you can to it until it tells you to stop. Now, if in that situation that person got so far along in that getting to know you, maybe was getting attracted to you, was starting to feel something for you, and they felt like they were not ready yet, whether they weren't ready for reasons that were because of you or because of themselves or external or whatever, they felt like at that moment is when they needed to stop.
Mm. Right. Right.
So it might not necessarily just be because of your attention, the attention that he was showing you, or the interest or the amusement that they had. Maybe there was something that was inside them that needed to get that far in the relationship building before they had to stop. These are all
Mm.
lies that I've continuously told myself to try and make sense of it all. But I always looked at it the same way from my end. I mean, there are people that I have dated that I thought it was going good. I had interest. I was amused by, and yet at the same time, my attention span went away because of whether internal or external factors. And I
Yeah.
needed to go through that to be able to know what they are. You have to go through the dating process before you get on into the engagement. That's the
Mhm.
way of life.
Yeah. So I guess long-winded answer to your question, Bianca, for your friend Hannah, is yes, people can be
Yeah.
interested and still not be consistent in their attention. Now, the level of interest, though, that's something that you'll have to figure out for yourself.
My question to you now
Okay,
is,
go.
if for instance, for Hannah, okay, and she was dating Kevin, and Kevin
Okay.
started to show less interest.
Uh-huh.
If you were Hannah, do you back away and give him that space, or do you stick around because you want that you're to show that person, you know what, if you're going through something, if you're going through doubts, I will still be here to show you that I you are wrong about your doubts. I'm asking for a
Again,
friend.
that depends on the level of interest that you have for this person.
Okay.
Honestly, and also how much has this person invested in you also? Like, have you guys had great conversations? Have you actually spent enough time? Have you been in situations where you actually got to know each other to make you interested enough and to make him interested enough for his reasons to be valid? I think it always depends on that. So you have to find that out for yourself. And I feel like that's a decision that we all have to make on different scales, because we have different standards for people worth waiting for, or for people who aren't worth waiting for. Right? I think that's always it.
This is the main reason why I always believed that there should be a post-mortem meeting pag dating. Like, I always thought that there should be a report card at the end of two people dating, and it'd be like, okay, these were my problems. These were the things that were kind of red flags for me. Hopefully, you can. This helps you to have a better chance next time around when you're dating someone. If like, oh, you were a little bit too overbearing. I didn't like it that you didn't pick up the check or anything like that. I always thought
Mm-mm.
that that's the way that it should be. Obviously, we're never gonna do that. We're in the world of ghosting where we don't even say goodbye to people. But I'm still gonna be
I
able to have
know. What is
wishful
up with
thinking.
that? What is up with
I don't
that?
know. I've been ghosted so many times, and I don't know why. I don't know why people don't just have that conversation and be like, it just didn't work out because of this and that and that and that and that, and have put some closure to it. Maybe that's
You
it.
know,
Maybe people don't want the closure that they can maybe come back later on.
no, 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 it's not that.
No?
People just people these days don't want to take responsibility for anything. I think that's a problem.
Yeah, in all the years that I've known you and all the gentlemen that have come by before Wancho, you were not really the ghosting type.
I wasn't. I always take responsibility for my emotions. And if I were super hot and super interested in the beginning and then if it fizzles out in the middle of it, I will tell you straight to your face because I believe in my respect for you is more important than your feelings for me. And I think that's the kind of character that we all want to develop within ourselves. I'm not saying that's me altogether already, but it was something that I constantly practiced. That my parents, my dad would tell me a lot. If say what you mean, even if it hurts people, if it's the truth, and if you think it'll better them, for it, then say what you mean. Tell them what you actually mean. If you have the chance to, if they give you the chance to speak and actually talk it out, do that. Because I feel like we need to respect each other enough to actually tell each other if we sucked in this relationship and or if it's us, 'di ba? Na
Yeah.
you don't suck. Totally. You're an amazing guy. I really, really like you. I feel like you're gonna be a great boyfriend to somebody else. It's just that for me, I wasn't interested enough or my interest wasn't retained long enough for me to actually stick around. So I'm really sorry about
So
that.
how do you start that conversation? How do you, like, for instance, ECQ era? You want to know because there's so much time on your hands and you're racking your brain around. Wait a minute, why is this person not replying to me anymore? They don't even watch my Instagram stories. What is going on? How do you start that conversation?
I feel like there are certain kinds of relationships na the no closure is actually closure. There are relationships like that where
Yes.
it ends and you both kind of feel like okay, okay, fine, it ended. Wala siyang, it doesn't have a trail behind it that you have to clean up and kind of ask yourself, right? So you have to ask first the question. Before you have this conversation with someone, this really difficult conversation, if I may add, the first thing that you have to ask yourself is it worth it? Right? Is it worth it? Am I going to learn something from this? Do I have something in my chest that I really, really need to get out and really need to process with this person before I move on to the rest of my life? Will I not be able to move on to the rest of my life if we don't have disclosure? That's the first question that you have to ask for yourself. And the second and most important question is the other person willing? Do you think from your assessment of the character of this person and the time that you guys
Ah.
spend together that that person is willing to actually sit down, have an adult conversation about the non-relationship you guys just had to actually put a piece behind it? Like, I think those are just two simple questions.
Now, if you don't know if that person that you're talking to is either open or not open to have that conversation, then you guys weren't dating long enough for you to be able to be asking them this question anyway.
Exactly. 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 Super exactly. And if the person naman tells you na I'm not interested in talking to you about that, I don't think that that's something that's important in my life, then there's your filtering
Yeah.
system. That person is not even worthy enough of your time or your effort and of your life. Because if this person doesn't care about you enough to even honor your request of actually just having a conversation, not trying to, you know, ask them to stay, but really just see a post-mortem,
Yeah.
as Aaron Atayde is saying. If they're not willing to give you that common respect that every human being deserves, then just let it go. You probably weren't close enough. She probably doesn't care enough. I think that pretty much makes it simple.
Yeah. For those that are wondering what post mortem means, it's at like after the
After
end,
death. Yeah.
after the end. So that there's usually like a meeting that people have at the end of, when something is over, just to discuss what how it went, what were are our
What went wrong?
learnings, what went
Mm-hmm.
wrong, what went right. So
Yeah.
I always believe that there should be something like that. Have I ever had one?
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
So this is all assuming though that the person is interested in you,
Yes.
right? This whole conversation that we just had. But you also have to realize that sometimes not spending enough time with a person or not giving enough attention to the person, probably means that you're just not that interested. He's just not that into you. That's just the harsh truth.
And the best way to look at it is to go back to where we started at the beginning of this all. There's a hierarchy of interest. And there are only 24 hours in the day. There are only, what, 8 hours of that are sleeping. So you got 16. Let's say that there's 3 hours that are for eating, or maybe 4 hours that are for eating. You're down to 12. Now, with the 12 hours that are there, if you are not on that, then that means there are other things in the hierarchy that are taking up that time. You have to have
Mm-hmm.
respect for what those are, because those are that person's interests. And you have to maybe figure out if you want to be in somewhere in that hierarchy, somewhere down the road. So that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's tough, that
It's
this
very
is like a
tough.
person to person basis. But okay, here, last
It's okay.
example ko. Because the question of Bianca is really good because it applies to both personal and professional stuff,
Yes.
right? So, for example, my level of interest for podcasting outweighs by heaps and bounds my level of interest for vlogging. And how did I find that out? Because of the amount of attention and effort I was willing to give to podcasting when it was so much harder to do that than what I gave to vlogging. Simple. With vlogging, I had all the necessary things that a person needed to thrive to be a good vlogger. I had a management, I had the channel, I had a following, I had things that I
You
could
had a
take
production
videos of.
team.
I had a production team as well. I had editors. I traveled a lot. I have content after content. I have events after events. I feel like I'm kind of an interesting person, but my interest level for vlogging just wasn't there. So I wasn't producing the same amount of content or the same quality of content that I was doing in podcasting, where I had to personally figure out how to record. I had to buy equipment. I had to figure out how to edit, produce, to write, to upload it, and to spread it out to the world. I had to learn all of those things. But even though the effort was so much greater in podcasting, I gave that effort because my interest in it was much greater than vlogging. So you could replace podcasting and vlogging with people or other hobbies that you have. Sometimes, even though it's easy for you to go to a certain option, you won't go there just because you're not interested enough. You're just not into it, not that into it.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, uh, so to say, even if there were more steps and more things that you needed to do, it was still easier for you to make the decision to do that. The steps
Yes.
might not be easy, but the decision to take those steps is easy, and that's where the interest level comes in. Now, if the person, if you're, and I think there are people that know this, where you get a text and you're like, mamaya na lang. Like that alone, you already know that it's difficult for you to reply or to even just read it and all that. And then that means that your interest level is not there. Now, if that's what that guy is going through, or if that's what you're going through at sometimes, then you just, going back to it, you just might not be into him.
Yeah. So there, what a very complicated answer to such a simple
I
13-second question.
know.
Well, human beings are complex, so I feel like there's never really a
Oh,
a simple answer to anything that we go through.
never. We'll never have a simple answer on the show. Like I don't know. Me and you are too neurotic that we're not gonna have a simple answer on this show.
That's right. But those are our personal
Yes.
answers, our personal experiences. And so, if you actually have an answer for this question that was posted by Bianca, please do let us know on the Facebook group. That's SOS Shot of Sanity, the podcast on Facebook, where we have great
Mm-hmm.
discussion. Some of our members actually post their thoughts and some of their questions on the Facebook group as well.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys there, and make sure that you check out all the other episodes of SOS on all your favorite streaming apps all around the way, and hit us up on Instagram and on Twitter at Aaron Ataide and at Joyce Spring for all of your internet needs. That wraps up this episode, and that was a great one. That was fun.
Yeah, very, very fun. Very
So,
interesting. And tomorrow we'll do a live episode,
yes,
parts,
and we've had some
on Facebook.
revelations,
Yeah.
some revelations on this show today. None of them refer to any actual live human beings,
Oh, wow.
in the world. If there are any
Mm.
resemblance, or you
Not
got
even in this Zoom call?
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no, no, no,
okay.
not at all,
Okay.
not at all.
We got it.
Yeah, we're out of here.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Peace.
All right. Paalam. And that's it for this episode. If you'd like to continue the conversation, go to www.joyspring.com. And if you want to support the podcast, go to patreon.com/adultingwithjoyspring. I'll talk to you guys soon. Paalam.